Hi everyone, welcome back to the OT Miri channel. My name is Miri, I'm a licensed occupational therapist, and in today's video, I'll be talking to you guys about different types of aphasia. So let's get right into it by first defining what aphasia is. Aphasia is an acquired language disorder that's caused by an injury to the brain. So you'll find this with people who have suffered from a stroke or traumatic brain injury, typically in the left hemisphere of the brain. Not always, but most commonly so. And the impairments encompass speaking, so speech production and listening, the ability to understand what other people are saying, as well as reading and writing. And contrary to what a lot of people might assume about people with aphasia, aphasia is not due to a deficit in intellectual, motor, or sensory, or even psychiatric deficits. So let's begin by first talking about Broca's aphasia. Now, Broca's aphasia is commonly referred to as expressive aphasia, and that's because patients here have lost the ability to express themselves adequately, and so it's an impairment in speech production. So an easy way to remember this is to think of Broca and associate that word with broken. Broca's aphasia has broken speech. So what does that look and sound like? Well, for one, articulation is impacted. So their speech will be awkward, slow, labored. It'll take Herculean effort to get their words out. In fact, in the acute stages, they might not even have a single word. Initiation of speech is challenging, and you'll often hear them speak in telegraphic speech. If you haven't heard that term before, it's referred to when babies actually first start to learn how to speak. So my baby is currently 16 months old, and he's doing this where he's stringing two words together, often just a noun and a verb, doesn't use articles. And you'll find this with patients with Broca's aphasia as well, where they'll use two words or few words, takes great amount of effort to get them out. However, just because their speech is labored and slow and it takes a lot of effort doesn't mean that what's coming out of their mouth is meaningless. In fact, these words have substance, and the words that they do choose carry meaning. And so this is important for us to know as clinicians, because it dictates our treatment in some way, right? Given simple pictures and gestures and keywords and time, it is possible to communicate with patients with Broca's aphasia, even severe form of Broca's aphasia. And these patients are aware of their deficits. They're keenly aware of the absence of their speech. And so they may show frustration with their inability to communicate. And so giving them time to be able to, and facilitating communication through these A's that I just talked about is really important. How about their comprehension? Well, in Broca's aphasia, comprehension is generally intact. It's relatively good. That's not to say it's perfect, but it's certainly better than speech production. Okay, so that's Broca's aphasia, impaired speech production, broken speech, relatively good comprehension, and they are aware of their deficits. Now let's contrast that with Wernicke's aphasia. Wernicke's aphasia is also referred to as receptive aphasia, and that's because they have impairment in receiving words. So receptive aphasia, they cannot receive, understand, or comprehend what is being said to them. And Wernicke's aphasia is interesting because while they cannot comprehend, unlike Broca's aphasia, they are able to have fluent speech. So Broca's aphasia was a non-fluent aphasia. Wernicke's aphasia is referred to as a fluent aphasia because the words just sort of pour out from their mouth. But here is the catch. They might be able to produce lots of words, even superfluous words, but they're meaningless. It's nonsensical. It won't make sense to you. And so in addition to having poor comprehension, the words that they do actually speak are nonsensical. And in fact, to an untrained, unskilled eye, patients with Wernicke's aphasia might even appear to have some form of psychiatric condition because they're just spewing out words that don't make sense. And what makes it even more challenging is that they're blissfully unaware of the errors in their speech output. So it's quite different than Broca's aphasia, right? Because with Broca's aphasia, they may have difficult time talking and they may have broken speech, but they're aware of their deficit and the words that they do carry out have meaning and they have relatively good comprehension. But with Wernicke's aphasia, you have impaired comprehension and the words that you do spew out are meaningless and you're unaware that they're meaningless. So imagine the challenge that this would pose during treatment. Okay, so Wernicke's aphasia, also known as receptive aphasia, impaired understanding, but this is a fluent aphasia because although it's meaningless, there's fluency in the words that come out. Okay, so that was Broca's and Wernicke's aphasia. Now we're going to talk about what's next? Global aphasia. Global aphasia, I won't describe too much because it's pretty self-explanatory. Global, impacted globally, all language skills. So receptive, expressive, written, writing, everything is impacted. You have large multiple lesions in your brain, and this is the most severe form of aphasia. Now, on the opposite spectrum of that, we have anomic aphasia, and this is one of the mildest forms of aphasia, and it's characterized by difficulty in a word finding. So word finding, retrieving words, names for things, right? That's anomic aphasia. And you might be asking, well, Miri, all the aphasias have difficulty with word retrieval. And yes, that's true, but anomic aphasia is characterized when word retrieval or word finding difficulty is the primary or most prominent characteristic or feature or symptom. Okay, and anomic aphasia, this is interesting. It's often missed and it could be overlooked because this is a fluent aphasia, so they will be able to not only carry on a conversation and have fluency in their speech, but it's grammatically correct and it's meaningful, unlike Wernicke's aphasia. The only problem is that they have trouble retrieving certain words. So if you show them a picture or give them a pair of scissors and you ask them, what is this? They'll be like, oh, I don't know. It's at the tip of my tongue. I know what that is. Give me a minute. It's you cut things with it. It's what's that name? Okay, so that's anomic aphasia, trouble naming things, but their speech is fluent, they make good sense, it's grammatically correct, and it's easy to overlook. Anomic aphasia, mild form of aphasia. So those are the 4 aphasias that are common that you might come across when you're in your clinical setting or while you're studying for your exam. And while we're on aphasia, I just want to throw one more in there. And this is different than any aphasias that I just covered that's caused by a brain injury. This is called the primary progressive aphasia. And this is different in that it's caused slowly and progressively over time due to a neurodegenerative condition like Alzheimer's. And this is where you slowly lose all language capacity. So this is a little different, but I just wanted to throw that out there because when talking about aphasia, this is one type that you might come across, and I wanted you guys to be able to distinguish and differentiate that from the ones that are caused by a brain injury versus one that is caused over time, a progressive condition due to things like Alzheimer's disease. Okay? Oh, I don't know if I missed anything. Let me think. I think that's it. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys again next time. Take good care. Bye. I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing, walking around on those, what do you call them again? Oh, feet. Flipping your fins, you don't get too far. Legs are required for jumping, dancing, strolling along down. Oh, what's that word again? I know what it is. Street, up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun, wandering free. Wish I could be part of the world.